When Lisa from Blackpink walked onto that stage in Paris, something shifted. The lights, the atmosphere, even the way fans were holding their breath, it wasn't just excitement. It was reverence. 'Cause what happened on Blackpink's Deadline Tour Day 2 at Stade de France wasn't just a solo performance. It was a cultural reset. Lisa Manoban didn't come to entertain. She came to make a statement, and judging by how even celebrities in the VIP section stood up in absolute shock, she delivered something that transcended pop music. It wasn't loud or flashy. It was precise, powerful, and poetic. A moment that felt more like a global event than a K-pop performance. But what made it hit so hard? Was it the way the stage was lit only by her silhouette when the music dropped? Was it the mic flip? The footwork? The tension she built with just her gaze? Or was it something deeper, like the feeling that this wasn't just Lisa the idol, but Lisa the icon in complete control of the narrative? Let's break it down. Blackpink's Deadline Tour had already been building momentum for weeks. But Day 2 in Paris was different. The energy wasn't just high, it was cinematic. Fans were expecting greatness, sure, but nobody expected this. Lisa's solo stage wasn't just another dance break. It was an intentional masterclass in visual branding, performance psychology, and audience control. Started with silence. The moment her figure appeared in that red-lit tunnel, the crowd didn't scream. They gasped. That's rare. And in an arena that size, that kind of silence is louder than any intro beat. Then came the first bass drop, sharp, clean, and timed perfectly with her stride. Not a single move wasted. Every turn of her head, every breath before a beat, it all felt like it had been engineered to hypnotize. But here's the twist, this wasn't just for the fans. People forget that Stade de France isn't just filled with blinks. The VIP rows were stacked with fashion execs, entertainment CEOs, and luxury partners, especially now that Lisa's name is linked to houses like Bulgari and Celine. That solo stage wasn't just a performance. It was a portfolio pitch. A billion-dollar brand moment disguised as music. You could actually feel the shift. Not just from the fans, but from the industry people watching in real time. That's why the camera kept panning to the VIP section. And at one point, a well-known designer, not naming names, literally stood up and clapped before the number was even done. You don't do that unless you know you're watching history being made. Let's talk wardrobe. Lisa didn't wear anything accidental. Her solo outfit blended traditional streetwear energy with high fashion precision, something only she can pull off without it looking try-hard. The boots? Celine. The necklace? Bulgari. But it wasn't about the brands. It was about the message. That she can move effortlessly between two worlds, global luxury and street-level authenticity. And that's rare. Very few artists can pull that off. Beyoncé does it. Rihanna does it. But Lisa, she's doing it in real time under the pressure of being a K-pop idol while also launching a solo legacy. And here's where things get deep. This moment in Paris wasn't just about the fans screaming her name, it was about Lisa controlling her own story. Because let's be honest, there's been noise. About her solo future, her brand moves, even her personal life. But on that stage, all of it faded. There was only one message. I'm not just part of Blackpink. I am a force on my own. Think about that. She didn't need to say a word. She didn't drop a single teaser or leak a single track. But with one performance, no album, no announcement, she made people search for her more than any headline could have. That's not hype. That's power. Let's talk about the numbers for a second. Right after the show, Lisa trended globally on X, formerly Twitter, in over 30 countries. Fan cams of her solo hit 1 million views in under 8 hours. Local French outlets called it the most polished performance of the night. And most interestingly, search volume for Lisa Paris solo actually outpaced searches for Blackpink itself, for 5 straight hours post-show. That's not just viral. That's dominance. And it gets better. Marketing analysts have already started labeling Lisa's Day 2 stage as a case study in live branding. Think about that. She didn't say a word. She didn't speak to the press. But she created brand recall stronger than a commercial with a $10 million media buy. Why? 'Cause emotion beats advertisement. And Lisa knows how to trigger emotional memory. Even the ending was a statement. No fireworks. No biggie outro. She simply stood in the middle of the stage, breathed, and walked off. Like she knew she didn't need to prove anything anymore. And the stadium? Still frozen. That's when you know you've won. Not when people scream, but when they're too stunned to react. So here's the takeaway. Lisa's solo at Stade de France wasn't just the highlight of Blackpink's deadline Day 2. It was a declaration. A shift in how we see K-pop idols, female performers, and solo legacy building in the modern age. Because what she did that night wasn't just beautiful, it was strategic. And no matter how many times the industry tries to box her into just a dancer or just the visual, Lisa keeps rewriting the script. And Paris? Paris will remember. 'Cause sometimes one solo stage is enough to make a stadium stand still, even when you're surrounded by legends. And Lisa? She made them all stand up. Even the celebrities. Because sometimes one solo stage is enough to make a stadium stand still, even when you're surrounded by legends. And Lisa? She made them all stand up. Even the celebrities. But the most impressive part? She did it without saying a word. No shout-out. No speech. No encore teaser. Just presence. Presence so commanding, even the lights seemed to move with her. And in that silence, in that exact still frame before the next Blackpink member took the stage, Lisa had already won the night. And maybe that's the whole point. In an industry where louder often means better, Lisa chose restraint. While most performers would fill the stage with fire and flash, she delivered control. And that's the part that brands, media executives, and global investors noticed. Because control, over movement, over energy, over audience emotion, is the rarest currency in entertainment. This wasn't just charisma. It was strategy. It was Lisa, proving that stillness can be louder than noise. 'Cause what Lisa did at Stade de France is something few artists ever pull off. She created intangible value. You can't stream it, you can't buy it, and you can't package it. You had to be there. Or at the very least, you had to feel it through the screen. That's why fan edits exploded across social media. That's why every fan cam looked like a cinematic trailer. That's why brands like Dior, Cartier, and Apple Music were reposting and reacting, not just because Lisa is famous, but because she's the kind of famous that moves culture, not just charts. Think about it. In a single solo stage, Lisa turned a concert moment into a cultural timestamp. A line in the sand. A point people will reference a year from now. Remember when Lisa did that solo in Paris? Yeah, that kind of moment. And here's where things start to echo beyond music. In business terms, Lisa's solo stage wasn't just performance, it was live equity building. Kind that makes luxury conglomerates like LVMH and Kering watch closely. Kind that justifies multi-million-dollar deals without needing a single press release. 'Cause when the market sees this kind of fan loyalty, reaction, and memorability, that's proof of concept. Not theory. Reality. So when people ask, what made Lisa's Paris stage so powerful? It's not just about her moves or her music. It's about timing, placement, silence, confidence, the trust in her own gravity to do less and make it mean more. And that right there, that's what separates an idol from a global icon. Even backstage, after the lights went down and the crowd slowly started breathing again, the conversation didn't move on. Dancers, crew members, even local organizers were seen whispering, "Did you see what just happened?" And they weren't talking about Blackpink as a group. They were talking about her. Lisa Manoban, the girl from Thailand who used to train until 3 a.m., the rookie who doubted her Korean skills in interviews, trainee who once stood in the back, is now the woman who made Paris, one of the most elite cities in the world, pause in awe. And maybe, just maybe, this was never about proving anything. Maybe Lisa already knew who she was. Maybe this wasn't her statement. Maybe this was her invitation. For the world to finally see her not just as a dancer, not just as Blackpink's Magne, but as a blueprint for a new kind of pop star. One who doesn't have to chase trends because she is the trend. And if Paris was any indication, the world's just catching up. If moments like this give you chills too, hit that subscribe button. We've only just begun uncovering the power behind the icons. More stories, more impact, coming soon. Stay tuned.